Welcome to the Meet Crete podcast, where we sit down and talk with people who make Crete run every day. Hi, I'm Dave. I'm one of the creative producers in the communications department at Crete Carrier, and today we're going to talk to somebody. We should let you in on an inside secret. We've already done this once. But we're going to talk to Hunter Keener, who you're not here typically. You're where? Where are you based out of?
I'm based out of West Memphis, Arkansas.
West Memphis, Arkansas.
Yep.
And we did this before and it didn't work out.
We did.
So the magic of television, we'll just do it again.
Yep, perfect. Run it back.
There we go. And you have a new job too.
I do have a new job. Yep, moved into a new role.
And your job title now is?
Regional sales manager.
And previously you were?
Regional operations manager.
Yeah, so a little bit different, huh?
Yep, a little bit different. Moved into sales. I worked with, obviously, the ops group. We had built a pretty good operational footprint in Memphis, built a big brand new facility. So September, October of last year, I moved into sales and I'm going to go see some customers.
Is it much different than what you did before? You're a real people person. One of the things that I noticed from going down there and seeing you work is you connect with people very, very well. You're in the right spot without question. Is it much different for you day to day?
Yeah, it's definitely a different outlook. Generally before it was just all drivers all day. Could connect with our drivers, with our network and with our business, particular to Crete, not transportation, but our greatest asset's obviously the driver, with obviously our customer as well. But connecting with drivers and understanding what they do for our country and understanding what they do for our economy and how we impact that is so very important. So generally, in operations, it's drivers and the folks that help make those drivers successful. And now it's, the other side of the turn of working with customers and seeing how we can serve them and provide them that same that same option.
We'll get back to a little bit more Crete stuff after a while. Part of the mission of this podcast is to find out about the people that actually make our thing run all the time.
Yeah.
You're from the South, but you're not necessarily from Memphis. Where'd you grow up?
No, I grew up in Northwest Georgia, just bottom of the Appalachian, in the hills. Known for flooring. Grew up in Dalton, Georgia. I think it's kind of outdated now because carpet's not a big thing, but it's carpet capital of the world. Yeah. So I grew up there.
And you see those signs on the interstate when you go down there too.
Yeah, there's flooring, textile.
Yeah.
Now it's everything turf, right? It's all
right.
Artificial turf. A lot of my buddies I grew up with, that's what they grew up in, and that's what they're staying in. They're all in the turf industry and flooring and textile.
Very cool.
Yep.
You have kind of a different background than a lot of people. You were a college athlete. You were a college golfer, huh?
I don't know about athlete, but yeah. I did participate. Yeah, I played college golf for a small private school in mid Georgia, LaGrange, Georgia. Small private Methodist school. We had 1,100 kids, something like that. We were pretty good. Went to a couple national championships. I don't chase the white ball as much as I'd like, but here we are.
So you just said before we started that you're golfing for the first time in 3 years.
Yeah, I plan on maybe.
Man, I'd shank everything.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be any good.
Yeah, again, I said it, I'll say it again. It's like riding a bike. You hit so many balls in your lifetime. I played such competitive golf for 10, 12 years at such a just crazy level of, there were summers where you're gone every week playing junior golf, playing tournament golf,
wow.
And then you get into college and competing. I'm pretty competitive. It's probably a downfall of mine, so turn everything.
Yeah, you have the muscle memory. I don't have that. But when you do play, what does it feel like now when you're just playing a friendly game with some guys that you work with or some pals or whatever? What is that like as opposed to when you're trying to win it for the team? Yeah,
there's golf's always been super individual, but when you have others that are relying on you, it makes it more rewarding. At the same time, it makes it more detrimental whenever you don't play well. I think going out and playing just a round of golf with pals is good, but again, the competitive nature comes out. So
you don't leave that behind.
Yeah, we'll be friends after we're done. That's kind of
That's
Seems
awesome.
like. Yeah.
Can you just let go and just decide that I'm going to spend 3.5 hours outside?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And not bring up the old hunter that wants to just destroy everybody.
I think that's probably why I've stayed away from it. I'm a little obsessive, Dave. So like, I'll get obsessed and I'll want to start playing golf again. You know, one of the goals of mine is to get back in and play amateur golf at some point, be competitive at some point. I've got to get to that stage where I can do that. And, but yeah, you talk about muscle memory and getting back into it. I'll tell you what it's like. I'm sore. My core is weak. My back hurts. I eat like a bottle of Advil. I have to hydrate and think about things like that I didn't whenever I was.
Yeah, when you're young, you get a lot of stuff done. You don't realize how close to death you are all the time.
Oh,
though,
God.
you know?
It's brutal. You know, you go out and you hit balls and you're there from sun up to sundown and you eat 2 meals at a golf club. And now it's, you know, you almost can't wait to go home and just sit in the shower and cry, you know. So, yeah, it's definitely good, but all good things.
It's good to know that somebody that competed at that level feels the same way after a round that I do.
Yeah.
That it hurts that much.
Yeah.
And the next day,
it's
man.
brutal. You're sore, you know,
you can't grip the steering wheel.
Yeah, you shake. I get tremors, so like, grip strength's gone and hands are beat up, you know.
So how do the older pros do it, do you think?
Oh, they just never stop. I mean, at some point you cut it off and you stop, you know. But doing something like golf or farming are very similar because you find out there's muscles that you don't normally use in day-to-day activity, but you go swing a golf club, you know, 300 times, so you hit 150 balls and then go chase it around and play 18 holes. Yeah, you're going to be miserable. It's gonna hurt, but those guys don't stop. I mean, they relentlessly beat balls and stop. You know, you talk about work ethic. Look at somebody like VJ Singh. I wonder how many golf balls VJ Singh's hit in his lifetime. I wonder how many golf balls like Fred Funk has hit in his lifetime. You know, it's crazy. It's insane. Kenny Perry been around 40 years. Think about guys like that. It's just unbelievable.
Yeah. And then how young did they start and how many did they get in before they actually started getting a little bit good? And yeah.
It's even what Bryson refers to, right? Like DeChambeau is just an absolute monster on the range. You know, I saw a thing, I think of the PGA where him and Sergio was telling him that he wasn't leaving until Bryson left after one of the rounds. He's like, good luck. Your old behind is going to be in trouble.
Speaking of putting the time in, you spend a lot of time at work too. I mean, when you say you're obsessive, you're kind of obsessive about everything. Yeah,
that's true. Yeah. I don't know if it's good or bad. I still haven't figured that out, but yeah, there's a love that I have. And we've talked about this before. You and I have, on our first round trip.
That's right. But nobody got to see. Yeah.
There's the level of love that I have for what our drivers do. Not only for obviously our company, but again, their fellow Americans and what we do, hauling consumer packaged goods and what it means for our economy on every level, locally, regionally, nationally. We touch all of that, and we're proud of that. And I think that's the investment that I get is I think about, okay, how do they provide for their family? And if I can attempt to help and provide a good job for a fellow American and let them be successful and do that, then I'll win, right?
We all win.
That's exactly right. So then selfishly, I can turn it and I can say, okay, I did my part today, and I can go home and go to bed and love on my dog, and you know.
Yeah, let's talk about your family. Married?
I'm not married. Been with the same wonderful woman for 12 years. She works at St. Jude. We met in college. She played volleyball. Nicole's a fantastic human being. She needs to go play the lottery for being lucky to be with me for this long. But no, she's an incredible human. She works at St. Jude in Memphis.
That's great.
Yeah. We have a dog, golden retriever. He's actually a Nebraskan.
Best dogs in the world.
Best dogs in the world.
Yeah. I miss mine every day.
Yeah, you know, he's
loyal and fun and just the happiest disposition in the world.
Yeah. He's grown a little bit into my demeanor. So the entrepreneurial spirit in me, I live off the highs and lows. So he's definitely emotional, but man, he's fun to be around. He's 10 years old. Awesome human.
You're from Georgia, big Bulldogs fan or? You kind of drifted into the Tennessee.
Big golf
sports.
fan.
Yeah.
Just watch golf.
Yeah.
That's it. If naturally, I would say I'm a Georgia fan. I don't think that I would want the loom of Atlanta to be me. Atlanta sports in general, Georgia sports in general have generally been a heartbreak over the past 20 years. So I don't think I want to go down that path. But if I had to claim someone, yeah, it'd be a Bulldog fan. Yeah.
We were talking one time, and I don't think it was the last show, but you said something about Nebraskans are proud people, and I thought everybody I know from the South is like really proud of their territory too. Like an Ole Miss fan, they love that whole area around the campus for 100 miles. It's not just the college, right? But why would you say that Nebraskans are proud people? I'm interested.
It's you talk about connecting with people, and you say that I connect with everyone, and I think that that's my way of doing it is relating. And the biggest thing that I've noticed with Nebraskans, and obviously I had never been here until I had worked for Crete, is that Nebraskans are very proud people. And I think that there's a lot to be proud about. And I think that we share that with the South, that there may be different statures to it, but of what they are. But being proud of where you're from and being proud of what you do is a very large part, right? You invest time into something and you're from something. So I think that's so very important to identify and relate to people. And that's how I relate to Nebraskans is Nebraskans are extremely proud. And that's my easiest byway to relate. I also think for Crete in general, we're so very proud of every facet of our business, right? Selfishly, I'll stand here and beat on my chest and say I'm so very proud of our drivers. I'm so very, very proud of our customer base, and again, what they do for their fellow American. I think that, general society, I talked about this last time, that we don't understand what transportation really means. We don't understand what an actual 30-day driver does. We don't know what a 20-day driver does. You go out and you run 600 miles a day to provide for your family. That means that you're working 14 hours a day. You have 14 hours to legally work. It doesn't mean just because you're driving, you're working. What happens whenever you pull into a dock? You have to use the restroom at some point. You have to stop. You have to eat. You have to hydrate. Your body's going to break down. So I think for our drivers, understanding what they really do and what that means is good for our society. I think it's good to understand how they get their goods. We've talked about this as well.
Yeah, sure.
You look everywhere. I mean, I'll just give it a 500-mile radius of around Lincoln, Nebraska. Everything comes off a truck. You don't think grass comes off a truck? Come down to a sod farm in Grenada, Mississippi, right? Everything we touch. So it just goes back to being proud of that and being able to make an impact, whether how small or large, it doesn't matter. You're improving some point during the day.
So you've been here, is it 7 years?
7 years, yeah.
In 7 years working on the operations side and now part of sales, it must be a great advantage to you having that operations background doing what you do now, because you can speak to things that I think maybe a lot of newbie sales guys wouldn't have any idea about.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. It's easier to relate to customer frustration, right? So they say, hey, such and such are struggling at this facility. And then you can provide them with options of how to resolve it, solutions we've used before, right? Being able to connect with the driver or just send a driver in that you've made a connection with that can help ease that or show them a tip or trick that can make their business more efficient. It's just relatable. You just have to relate.
Yeah.
You had to figure out how to relate.
All right. One last question for you before we go.
Okay.
Pick one, and it can't be St. Andrews, okay?
Okay.
But one golf course that you'd love to golf besides going to Scotland.
I'm not going to say Scotland. I'm not going to say Augusta National. Probably Pebble. Pebble Beach would be insane.
Pretty course.
I think more of just the aura of what they've done. I wouldn't mind playing Torrey. Torrey Pines would be pretty good. Just because of Tiger and what he did. And,
right.
God, I'm trying to think of a different area of the country. Yeah, Beth Page would be insane.
Oh, that'd be cool too.
I wish Beth Page would be brutal conditions and let me go shoot 200 and be, be humbled and probably not pick up a golf club if I did that again. But yeah.
Well, listen, when you go out tomorrow, just go have fun. Don't worry about beating everybody to death. We know you're good. So,
well, we'll see.
Have a good day tomorrow. Thanks for sitting down with me. I appreciate it. And thank you for watching and listening to this podcast. And just a reminder, you can find our weekly updates, driver stories, and more episodes of the podcast right here on the YouTube channel. We'll be back to find out more about the people we work with inside Crete Carrier and Schaefer Trucking in the next episode of Meet Crete.